Hi everyone. In this new video I want to teach you a little. 5 things you shouldn't do when you has a skateboard, either driving it or either that you are going to give it maintenance, to give it all light or whatever. But there are 5 things that I am going to teach you what they shouldn't do, since that usually spoil it, damage it, or maybe even render it useless. In many cases. First of all, I am going to leave you one thing, is that how am I going to drive? And I want to show you. And there are 2 little things, so maybe I suddenly feel irregularities. Or suddenly I may be talking but it is normal because of the skateboard. With nothing more to say, I start the first one I'm going to teach you is avoid irregularities of the street, that is to say that we are not in hostag, in holes, and messed up stuff, or things like that. I understand that on many occasions we are going to arrive at the point where we must walk. In this type of irregularities, I'm going to give you an example so that you see that this is not as good as walk in something so irregular. If you haven't felt it, I'm going to show you in this. What happens in that sense, and it already touched me. And it touched me. Send to water the handlebar. Send him to weld rather. Because for being walking so irregularly, I got some cracks. And besides, yes, his scooter has. It has pneumatic tires. Much worse because they come out pricking them. Short term. The second is not. Let's use 100% of the handling of the vehicle, that is. Let's not be like Toretto, let's not be like Valentino Rossi. Because the most careful thing is that we have an accident. That is, let's not drive like that. Like from Low to Movie. And neither. We don't drive as fast as we can when for some reason you can't. I tell you because they have already passed. Enough has happened. And well, a few days ago someone settled for walking like this. And then practically, there he is in those moments hospitalized. I'm telling you so that it doesn't happen to you. And that was what I was going to teach him at first. The irregularities. We must avoid walking in those irregularities. Now the third. For you to see. The third thing that I am going to teach you is that we do not walk around in totally steep places. For example, if we are more or less, we are going to climb a slope that is more or less a little high. That is, there is more or less in this line. What am I showing you? There will be no problem on the scooter. But if we are going up on something extremely steep, let's say towards a bridge, I am going to suggest that help them with a kick. Since these motors of a scooter, they are not usually the best, or they have little power that they usually offer. Because these are usually between 200 to 500 watts. So therefore what happens? They burn out cable, they burn out even the same engine. In case you didn't know. And then the engine, probably depending on your scooter, it can be cheap or expensive. The fourth, that this could be, let's say, one of the most typical. The thing is, Don't misuse the lithium battery so much. What's happening if we give a very demanding use to the skateboard? That is to say, having it in the highest mode, at all times at full speed. Today, obviously, well, we will arrive one day when we have used that, because suddenly we are going to take a long trip. But for example, in the case of this type of scooters, I suggest walk as little as possible. What happens if you, for any reason, the battery is charged, you are going to do around 20 kilometers, and then it will be downloaded. I recommend that when you get there, 20%, or this band-aid that arrives around between 1 to or 1. Let use the skateboard, since if you let it download it completely, we are going to run out of battery life. And then therefore, instead of Europe, there are some 2 or 3 years may last less than a year. I tell you because they have already passed. And it is to be able to misuse the batteries. And the fifth, it is of what? And the fifth is that we do not make absurd modifications. That is to say, if we are going to say that to place little lights that cut a little thingu, what are we going to place? I don't know. Some off-road tires like this, because they have already passed. Because it practically damages the battery life, damages the life of the vehicle. But there are modifications that are totally good. For example, in the case of the Xiaomi skateboard, the M360 and 5.1 bigger tire, that is the 10 inches. It will go much better. But as in this well, since there are people who have made modifications which are practically useless, I give you some advice: leave it as it is. I give them to you as valuable advice. And then nothing, that was all. If for some reason you liked this video, leave me a like, subscribe, and see you next time.